Norse mythology is awesome because it feels bold, wild, and full of raw power. The stories are packed with thunder, fire, gods, giants, and battles that shake the world. The characters are strong, but flawed, which makes them feel real and exciting to follow. The world itself feels harsh and alive, shaped by storms, ice, and fate. Every myth carries a sense of danger and wonder, as if anything can happen at any moment. Even after thousands of years, these legends still hit hard and inspire modern stories, proving just how powerful Norse mythology truly is. Norse mythology is packed with bold heroes who jump into danger without fear. These warriors do not face small challenges. They stand against giants as tall as mountains, monsters with sharp claws and burning eyes, and gods with powers that shake the sky. Every fight feels like the world could break in half. Heroes like Thor and brave humans from Midgard charge into battle with roaring strength, swinging weapons that strike like thunder. Each clash feels huge, wild, and full of heart. These stories make you feel the rush of standing on the edge of the world with nothing but courage and grit to hold you up. The stories in Norse mythology feel raw and wild, as if the whole world is made of storms and fire. Every tale has the force of crashing waves and roaring winds. The land feels harsh and alive with frozen seas, blazing volcanoes, and dark forests where danger waits in the shadows. The mood is rough and untamed, and nothing ever feels safe or calm. You can almost hear the thunder rolling above as the gods ride across the sky. This fierce energy gives every story a powerful edge, as if the world itself is daring the heroes to survive one more day. The gods in Norse mythology have strong flaws that make them fun to follow. They are mighty, but they are far from perfect. Thor has a quick temper and leaps into fights without thinking. Odin searches for wisdom so hard that he gives up parts of himself and sometimes makes choices that hurt others. Freya is powerful and proud, but her emotions can lead her into trouble. Even the trickster Loki causes problems because he cannot resist stirring chaos. These flaws make the gods feel real and alive. They argue, they fail, they learn, and they rise again. Watching them struggle makes every story feel rich and full of energy, because you never know if a god will save the day or make everything worse. Loki keeps the action moving with tricks that surprise everyone. He is clever, fast, and always one step ahead. One moment he helps the gods escape danger, and the next moment he causes the danger himself. He turns into animals, hides his plans behind sharp smiles, and plays games that no one else can predict. When Loki enters a story, the mood changes right away. You know something wild is about to happen. He keeps the gods on their toes and keeps his stories full of sudden twists. Every time you think you understand him, he does something new that flips the whole world upside down. The 9 realms make the world of Norse mythology feel huge and full of mystery. Each realm has its own look, its own dangers, and its own wonders. Asgard holds the shining halls of the gods. Midgard is the land of humans, stretched between seas and cold forests. Jotunheim is the rough home of giants, where mountains rise like teeth. There are realms of fire, realms of ice, realms of darkness, and realms filled with magic that bends the rules of nature. Every realm feels like a new adventure waiting to happen. You never know what creature you might meet or what secret you might uncover. This wide and wild world makes every story feel bigger than life, as if the heroes are stepping into places that stretch far beyond the edge of anything we know. Yggdrasil, the great world tree, ties every realm together in a powerful way. Its roots reach down into deep darkness. Its trunk rises through the land of humans, and its branches stretch all the way to the home of the gods. Every realm touches this giant tree in some way, like a vast map built into living wood. Creatures climb its bark, worlds hang from its limbs, and ancient secrets rest at its roots. When you imagine Yggdrasil, you feel the size of the cosmos all at once. It shows how every part of the Norse world is linked, from fires that never stop burning to frozen lands that never see sunlight. Yggdrasil holds the entire universe together, steady and strong, like a living bridge between all realms. Epic battles like Ragnarok feel massive and full of energy. Ragnarok is not just a fight. It is the final clash where gods, giants, monsters, and heroes all meet on a field that shakes under their feet. The sky cracks open, the seas rise, and fire spreads across the world. Enemies who waited for ages finally face each other with everything they have. Thor swings his hammer with thunder in his wake. Odin rides forward with fierce determination, wolves howl, dragons roar, and the ground trembles as the battle grows. Every moment feels huge and unstoppable, as if the entire universe is holding its breath. These battles hit with raw force and make you feel the weight of fate, pressing down on every warrior. Who stands in the storm? Many creatures in Norse mythology add both danger and wonder to every story. Giants tower over mountains and bring storms with every step. Wolves with glowing eyes stalk the edges of the world, waiting for the moment when fate calls them into action. Dragons coil through dark caves with scales that shine like metal, and breath that burns everything in sight. These beings make the world feel wild and alive. You never know if a creature will attack, help, or challenge a hero in a way that changes everything. Their presence creates a sense of mystery and excitement, as if the world is filled with hidden forces that could rise at any moment. This mix of danger and awe keeps every tale sharp, thrilling, and full of life. The myths inspired modern comics, movies, and games, which keeps them alive. The stories of gods, giants, and heroes show up in huge blockbuster films, hit shows, and fan-favorite games. When people see Thor swing his hammer on the big screen or watch Loki twist events with his sharp mind, they feel the power of the old stories in a fresh way. Game worlds use the 9 realms, fierce monsters, and ancient quests to pull players into epic adventures. Comics bring the characters to life with bold colors and dramatic scenes. That sparked the imagination. Every new version introduces the myths to a new generation, making sure the spirit of these ancient stories never fades. The legends grow, change, and stay alive because modern creators keep sharing them with the world. Movies and TV shows based on Norse mythology are awesome too. For starters, we have the Thor movies from Marvel. These films are packed with bright energy, huge battles, and powerful moments that make the gods feel larger than life. Thor charges into fights with thunder shaking the sky, and Loki steals every scene with clever tricks and sharp humor. The worlds they travel through are full of glowing halls, giant monsters, and storms that look alive. These movies pull people into the heart of the mythic world and make it feel bold, fast, and exciting. They take the old stories and turn them into visual adventures that keep fans on the edge of their seats. The Lord of the Rings franchise is also heavily inspired by Norse mythology. J.R.R. Tolkien drew many ideas from ancient Norse stories when he created Middle-earth. The tall and noble elves share roots with the light elves of the old myths. The dwarves with their strong craft and stubborn spirit come straight from Norse stories about deep mountain halls and legendary forges. Even the names of some characters, weapons, and places echo words from the old northern languages. The idea of a world shaped by ancient battles, powerful magic, and a long struggle between light and darkness also comes from Norse belief. This inspiration gives The Lord of the Rings a rich and timeless feeling, as if it carries the echo of ancient legends inside every scene. When it comes to TV shows, there are plenty of great ones based on Norse mythology. American Gods is a very interesting show because it brings old gods into the modern world. Odin walks among everyday people, hiding his true power behind a calm smile. You see how ancient forces try to survive in a world filled with new ideas and new beliefs. The show mixes mystery, action, and strange magic in a way that feels fresh and bold. It gives you a new look at the gods you thought you knew and shows how powerful these old stories still are today. Record of Ragnarok is epic as well. It is all about gods fighting humans in huge, intense battles. The show takes famous gods from many mythologies, including Norse gods, and puts them against legendary human warriors. Each fight feels massive, with lightning, fire, and raw strength shaking the arena. You see Thor swing his mighty hammer with earth-shattering force, and you see human heroes rise up with pure willpower and skill. The tension stays high because every match could change the fate of all humanity. The mix of fast action, bright visuals, and bold characters makes Record of Ragnarok feel exciting from the first moment to the last. The Loki show is great as well. It takes a trickster god and puts him on a wild journey through time, strange worlds, and powerful mysteries. Loki uses his sharp mind, quick words, and playful spirit to deal with forces that are bigger than anything he has faced before. The show lets you see new sides of him, from his clever schemes to his hidden fears. Every episode brings surprising twists, bold action, and moments that make you think. The mix of humor, chaos, and deep emotion makes the series stand out and shows why Loki is one of the most entertaining characters inspired by Norse mythology. Twilight of the Gods from Zack Snyder is great. It delivers a bold and dramatic take on Norse mythology with powerful visuals and strong storytelling. The show dives deep into the world of gods, warriors, and ancient conflicts. Every scene feels intense, with striking landscapes, fierce battles, and characters who carry heavy pride and purpose. The style is dark, vivid, and full of energy, which fits the spirit of Norse legends perfectly. The show brings the old myths to life with fresh ideas while still honoring the raw strength and emotion found in the original stories. Norse mythology is way better than Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online feels boring and bland from start to finish. There is nothing fresh, nothing deep, and nothing truly exciting in its world. The stakes never feel real, the fights feel weak, and the story feels thin. When you compare that to the wild power of Norse myths, Sword Art Online does not stand a chance. Norse legends give you thunder, fire, gods, giants, and battles that shake the sky. Sword Art Online gives you predictable moments and a world that feels empty. Norse mythology is real force and imagination, while Sword Art Online barely wakes you up. The characters in Sword Art Online are nowhere near as good as the ones in Norse mythology. The heroes in Sword Art Online feel flat and safe, as if they are just moving through the story without real depth or fire. They talk big, but they rarely show true struggle or growth. In Norse mythology, every character feels alive. The gods have strong flaws, bold strengths, and real emotions that push the story forward. Heroes fight with heart and face danger that actually matters. Even the villains feel powerful and unforgettable. Sword Art Online characters fade from your mind the moment the episode ends, while Norse myth characters stay with you because they have real weight and presence. Norse mythology is thousands of years old, and people are still talking about it. These stories survived wars, winters, and entire cultures changing, yet they remain strong and loved. They keep inspiring books, movies, games, and art because they have real power and meaning. Sword Art Online will never last that long. People will not be talking about Sword Art Online for centuries. It does not have the depth, the heart, or the strength to stay alive through time. Norse myths built worlds that still matter. Sword Art Online is just another show that will fade away while the old legends keep growing. Sword Art Online actually tries to draw from Norse mythology for its Alfheim Online setting. The problem is that it feels like the author did not understand the myths at all. The names, the places, and the ideas feel mixed up and shallow, as if they were thrown in without real care. The rich depth of Norse legends gets turned into something light and confusing. In my view, it feels completely butchered instead of capturing the power of the Nine Realms or the spirit of the old gods. Alfheim Online ends up looking like a weak copy that misses everything. That makes Norse mythology great. Sword Art Online is an insult to mythology fans. It takes the surface of great legends and turns them into something dull and empty. People who love real myths can see right away that Sword Art Online is no depth, no history, and no respect for the stories it tries to use. It feels like a cheap copy that learned nothing from the powerful stories that came before it. Instead of honoring the old legends, it weakens them. For anyone who cares about myth, Sword Art Online feels like a big letdown. Do not bother with Sword Art Online. It is not worth your time. Norse mythology and all the movies and shows based on it are far better in every way. They have real power, real heart, and real imagination. They give you gods, giants, epic battles, and stories that stay with you long after you hear them. Sword Art Online cannot compete with that. While Sword Art Online feels shallow and forgettable, Norse-inspired stories pull you into bold worlds filled with danger and wonder. If you want something exciting, choose the myths and the great shows that bring them to life. They will give you an experience that Sword Art Online can never match. You will regret watching Sword Art Online. It will leave you bored and disappointed, and you will wonder why you wasted your time. The story feels weak. The world feels empty, and nothing in it is real strength or meaning. Just avoid it and save yourself the trouble. There are so many better things to watch, especially anything inspired by Norse mythology. Choose stories that give you real excitement, instead of a show that leaves you wishing you never pressed play. Let us take a closer look at one of the shows mentioned earlier, Twilight of the Gods, and break it down. This series gives a strong and fresh take on Norse mythology. It brings the gods' warriors and ancient conflicts to life with bold energy and powerful scenes. The world feels huge and dangerous, filled with battles, secrets, and dramatic moments that keep you watching. The visuals are sharp and intense, and every character feels important to the story. Twilight of the Gods shows the raw strength and deep emotion that make Norse mythology so great. By looking at it in more detail, we can see how it honors the old tales while creating something new and exciting.
Let's dive into Twilight of the Gods and see how closely it sticks to Norse mythology. This breakdown of Season 1, Episode 1, The Bride Price, looks at what's true to the myths and what's different. King Leif recounts how he met Sigrid on the battlefield and fell in love with her. While neither of them are characters from Norse mythology, both names appear often in Norse sagas and historical records. The most famous bearer of the name Leif is Leif Erikson, a Norse adventurer and explorer, widely credited as one of the first Europeans to reach North America centuries before Christopher Columbus. He's best known for his voyage to Vinland. Leif is also called Leif the Lucky, a title that highlights his successful voyages and his prominent role in key Viking expeditions, emphasizing his fortunate and significant place in history. Leif is the king of the Volsung clan. This is named after Volsung himself, a central figure in Norse mythology. Volsung is celebrated as a legendary hero and the noble patriarch of the Volsung lineage. Sigrid is probably named after Siegfried, the hero of Richard Wagner's Götterdämmerung, which means Twilight of the Gods, the same title as this show. One of the previous projects that Zack Snyder worked on for Netflix, Army of the Dead, also references Götterdämmerung. It was the name of a safe that the heist crew targets in the film. Sigrid may also have been inspired by Scandinavian queen Sigrid the Haughty. While their stories are quite different, they share some similar personality traits, such as strength, independence, and a defiant spirit. Sigrid the Haughty was known for her powerful presence and refusal to be controlled, qualities that might resonate in the character of Sigrid as well. Sigrid is half human and half giant, which isn't unusual in Norse mythology. There are a few characters in the myths who share this mix of human and giant heritage. Sigrid has orange hair, a striking feature that stands out. In Norse mythology, hair color is rarely mentioned, so it's unclear if any characters had orange hair. Valkyries descend onto the battlefield, deciding the fate of warriors. These are from Norse mythology and are often portrayed as warrior maidens serving Odin, the chief god. The word Valkyrie comes from the Old Norse Valkyria, meaning chooser of the slain. Their role is to select fallen warriors and escort them to Valhalla, where the bravest are honored and trained for Ragnarok, the ultimate battle of the gods. In Norse mythology, Valkyries are depicted as powerful and noble figures, often riding horses as they carry out their duties. However, in the show, the Valkyries don't ride horses, offering a different take on their traditional portrayal. In the show, the Valkyries only wear helmets, a stark contrast to their traditional portrayal in Norse mythology. In the myths, Valkyries are often shown clad in armor, reflecting their warrior nature. This armor is described as both practical practical for battle and richly adorned, symbolizing their divine status as Odin's emissaries. The details of their armor differ depending on the source, but it often combines protection with decoration. Their body armor, usually shown as chainmail or scale armor, is designed for battle while also showing their divine importance. Some artistic and literary portrayals make the armor more decorative or symbolic, highlighting their status in mythology beyond just being warriors. The color of their armor can vary widely depending on the artist's style and the tone of the work. Silver or metallic armor is one of the most common choices, often representing the divine, heroic qualities of Valkyries. The shining surface of silver or steel highlights their connection to the gods and their role as protectors of warriors. Gold or brass armor is frequently seen in more fantastical or elevated portrayals. Gold symbolizes royalty, adding to the sense of their celestial nature and importance, making them seem more like angelic beings than mere warriors. Dark or black armor appears when Valkyries are shown in a more mysterious or intimidating manner. This color suggests a somber presence. Black armor evokes a sense of shadow and intrigue, emphasizing their position between life and death. Ultimately, the color of Valkyrie armor is flexible, shaped by the context of each depiction. In addition to their armor, Valkyries are often shown holding shields, symbolizing their strength and their role in protecting the warriors they honor. These shields represent both their physical protection and their guardianship over the souls of fallen heroes. The Valkyrie has a spear, which aligns with Norse mythology. Valkyries are often depicted carrying weapons, typically spears or swords. The Valkyrie has wings. While the ancient texts don't explicitly mention wings, later artistic and literary representations often include them. These wings highlight their supernatural, angelic qualities. In modern interpretations, especially in literature, art, and media, like video games or movies, Valkyries are frequently shown with large, ethereal wings. This reinforces their connection to the gods and their ability to move freely between realms. The Valkyrie has blue eyes and silver hair. In Norse mythology, there are no specific descriptions of their physical appearance. As a result, modern portrayals vary widely. Many depictions feature Valkyries with long, flowing blonde hair, reflecting the Nordic beauty ideal and symbolizing their divine, warrior nature. However, some portrayals show them with darker or red hair, depending on the artist's vision. Blue eyes are common, reflecting Northern European heritage, while other eye colors like green, gray, or gold emphasize their supernatural qualities and divine connection. The Valkyrie has lightning powers, but in Norse mythology, they aren't associated with lightning. The scene where the Valkyrie puts her thumb in Sigrid's mouth and tastes her saliva doesn't appear in the original Norse myths. There's a poet named Egil. He's not from mythology, but there was a Viking Age poet named Egil Skallagrimsson, renowned for his skill in both battle and poetry. He's a central figure in the Egil Saga, one of the most famous Icelandic sagas, which tells the story of his life, his fierce warrior spirit, and his mastery of verse. Leif built a longhouse for Sigrid. While longhouses aren't part of Norse mythology itself, they were a key part of Norse culture and daily life. Longhouses were used by Viking families and appear in historical accounts and sagas. Though not directly mentioned in the myths, structures like Valhalla can be seen as mythological longhouses in a symbolic sense, reflecting the importance of such buildings in both the real and mythical worlds. The aurora borealis, or northern lights, are a natural phenomenon that has long captivated human imagination. In Norse mythology, they feature prominently and are often seen as a powerful and mystical force. The northern lights were believed to be the shimmering armor of the Valkyries. According to legend, as the Valkyries rode through the night sky, their armor would create the beautiful, colorful display of lights. In some interpretations, the aurora borealis was also thought to be the glowing reflection of the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that connected the realms of the gods and humans. This connection between the northern lights and the divine worlds emphasizes the mystical and otherworldly nature of the phenomenon in Norse belief. For the Vikings, the aurora borealis was a symbol of both wonder and awe. Other Nordic legends suggest that the aurora borealis is the breath of valiant soldiers who fell in battle. Sigrid mentions that the stars are Thiazi's eyes, watching over her people. Thiazi is a giant from Norse mythology, known for kidnapping Eden. While not explicitly tied to the stars in the original myths, this interpretation makes may connect Thiazi to the heavens. There's no character named Hervor in traditional Norse mythology, but she appears in the Hervarar saga, an Old Norse saga. She's a central character in this saga, known for seeking the cursed sword Tyrfing. Leif pulling a sword from a stone is more similar to the Arthurian legend of King Arthur and Excalibur. In Norse mythology, there isn't a direct equivalent of pulling a sword from a stone. However, in the Volsunga saga, the hero Sigmund pulls the sword Gram from a tree, not a stone. Sigrid blowing a horn to reveal a stone path in the water echoes the role of horns in Norse mythology. The most famous horn, Jarlar Horn, the Horn of Heimdall, the guardian of the Bifrost. He'll blow it to signal Ragnarok. Horns were also significant in Viking culture for signaling and warfare, though they're less often featured in other mythological contexts. Moreover, these rocks resemble the ones in RuneScape that you need to cross to reach the lighthouse. Leif and Sigrid traveling to Jotunheim ties into Norse mythology. It's the land of the giants, one of the 9 worlds. It's often described as a wild, rugged place full of mountains and danger. The giants, there are powerful beings, usually in conflict with gods like Odin and Thor. In many myths, gods and heroes have to venture into Jotunheim to face challenges or confront the giants. In Norse mythology, characters travel to other realms using Yggdrasil, the immense tree that stands at the heart of the universe. Often seen as the cosmic axis, it links all the realms, with its vast branches, roots, and other areas serving as pathways. Sigrid is reunited with her brothers, who aren't part of Norse mythology. They all have tattoos, though there's no mention of giants in mythology having tattoos. While there is evidence that some people in the Viking Age may have had tattoos, the mythology doesn't focus on them. The giants say they eat humans, but in Norse mythology, the idea of giants eating humans isn't a recurring theme. There's no mention of a huge gate in Jotunheim in Norse mythology. It's depicted as a wild, untamed realm with natural boundaries, like mountains and forests, rather than a specific entrance or gate. Sigrid meets her father, Glomar. He's not from mythology. Glomar claims that the giants are the children of Suttung, but this idea doesn't appear in traditional Norse mythology. In the myths, Suttung is a giant associated with the mead of poetry, a magical drink that grants wisdom and poetic ability. There's no mention in the original myths of Suttung having children, let alone being the father of the giants. There's a young girl called Little Root, but she's not part of Norse mythology. Glomar doesn't allow strangers here. There isn't a specific rule about strangers being allowed in Jotunheim. The myths don't state a clear prohibition on outsiders entering. Leif plans to give his father's sword and a large sum of silver to Glomar in exchange for marrying Sigrid. However, there's no mention of this in Norse mythology. Leif also brings a gift of seeds. While seeds aren't a major focus in Norse mythology, growth, planting, and harvest are important themes in Norse culture. Glomar mentions that Odin pillaged their lands. In Norse mythology, Odin is known for his travels and raiding, but there's no specific story about him pillaging the giants' lands. Leif drinks a lot of mead. Mead is mentioned in Norse mythology. Made from fermented honey, it symbolizes wisdom and divine favor, and appears often in the sagas and myths. Sigrid mentions that Hafli's watchtower was abandoned. Hafli is listed as a giant in Norse mythology, but he isn't an important character. Leif is given a snake armband. While snake symbolism is part of Norse mythology, there's no specific mention of a snake armband. Snakes often represent danger and transformation. Thor and Balder appear. Both are famous figures in Norse mythology. Thor, the god of thunder, is one of the most well-known gods in the Norse pantheon. He's recognized for his strength and his role in protecting both gods and humans from the giants. Thor is associated with storms, thunder, and lightning. Balder, Thor's half-brother, is the god of beauty, love, and purity. Balder is often seen as a beloved figure among the gods. His presence symbolizes light and goodness. Though their roles differ, both Thor and Balder are crucial figures in the larger mythological narrative. Balder's skin is glowing gold, but in Norse mythology, there's no mention of him glowing gold. Balder is typically portrayed as a young, handsome man with light hair and fair skin. In Norse mythology, Thor is indeed known for killing enemies, especially giants, but there's no specific story where he crashes a wedding and kills the guests. Thor uses his lightning powers to walk through someone. In Norse mythology, Thor's thunder and lightning powers are associated with striking down enemies or causing storms, not walking through individuals. Thor is wielding a hammer called Mjolnir, which is one of the most famous weapons in Norse mythology, and and is often depicted as a symbol of Thor's strength. The hammer can cause thunder and lightning when Thor strikes with it. Balder lies to Thor and says that Sigrid and Leif are dead. In the original myths, Balder doesn't lie. Thor drinks mead. In mythology, Thor is often shown enjoying mead. White flowers start growing. These aren't part of any major myths. Sigrid vows to seek revenge and kill Thor. In mythology, there are several characters who either desire to kill Thor or actively attempt to do so. Sigrid is transported to Hel. This is the realm of the dead, ruled by Loki's daughter, Hel. It's a dark, cold, and dreary place where those who die dishonorably are sent. Hel lies beneath the roots of Yggdrasil. There are instances in the myths where living characters venture into Hel. Loki, a prominent figure in Norse mythology, has disguised himself as a gecko before revealing his true form to Sigrid. Known for his shape-shifting abilities, Loki can transform into many different creatures. Loki has blue skin, glowing blue eyes, and white hair. However, his appearance changes in different sources. There's no consistent description of him. Loki will help Sigrid kill Thor. In Norse mythology, Loki doesn't specifically want to kill Thor. Their interactions are more about Loki's mischief and trickery. In conclusion, Twilight of the Gods Episode 1 dives deep into Norse mythology, blending iconic elements with some exciting reimaginings. While it captures the essence of the original myths, the series takes creative liberties to craft its own unique twist on these legendary tales. It's a fascinating mix of old and new that keeps us on our toes. The series is off to a great start. The voice acting is top-notch. The action scenes are exciting. The animation looks great, and the story has me hooked. Twilight of the Gods plays to Zack Snyder's strengths because he's great at creating visually stunning scenes with a lot of action and drama. Known for his bold style, Snyder brings a sense of epic scale to everything he does. And Norse mythology, with the gods, battles, and larger-than-life characters, is a perfect fit. He has a knack for making big, emotional moments stand out, and for giving even the smallest details a lot of weight. The show's blend of mythic storytelling and action-packed visuals is something Snyder excels at, and he can turn the gods into something truly unforgettable. We don't often see TV shows centered on Norse mythology, so it's always exciting when one comes along. This rich and fascinating mythology offers so much storytelling potential. When a show chooses to delve into this world, it gives viewers a chance to experience these timeless stories in a fresh way, making it all the more special when it happens. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights about Twilight of the Gods.
This breakdown of Twilight of the Gods Season 1, Episode 2, Heretic Spear, uncovers how much of the story stays true to Norse mythology and where it takes creative liberties. Leif attempts to dig underground to rescue Sigrid from Hel, the realm of the dead in Norse mythology. While most enter Hel after death, a few living beings travel there under extraordinary circumstances. Accessing Hel often requires traveling through Yggdrasil, the world tree. Only those with a special purpose or divine help can reach Hel alive. These journeys represent the perilous transition between life and death. Loki claims that he's a giant folk. Loki is technically a giant in Norse mythology, but his role is complex. Loki is the son of the giant Farbodi and the goddess Laufey, which gives him mixed heritage. Despite his giant lineage, Loki often interacts with and is counted among the Aesir gods, becoming Odin's blood brother and living in Asgard. Loki creates a cloak for Sigrid to wear. In Norse mythology, Loki is known for his shape-shifting and cleverness, but there's no specific mention of him creating cloaks out of thin air. However, Loki is capable of transforming into various creatures and objects, and he uses magical items to accomplish certain feats. Hel talks to Sigrid. Hel is a prominent figure in Norse mythology. She's the daughter of the trickster god Loki and the giantess Angerboa. Hel presides over those who die of illness, old age, or in dishonorable ways, unlike warriors who go to Valhalla. So what they said in the show is accurate. Hel has horns and black flames, but in traditional Norse mythology, this isn't the case. Hel's face constantly changes. In Norse mythology, Hel's face doesn't constantly shift in appearance, but rather, it's described as divided. One half of her face is beautiful and youthful, while the other half is decayed and rotting. This dual nature reflects her connection to both life and death.